The story starts in the year 2020 when we're introduced to a girl named Fuuko Izumo who is reading a manga while standing on top of a bridge. As she's done reading it, she decides to end her life. As she's about to jump, she's approached by a man who tells her to back off since it is dangerous. She tells the man that she always wanted some passionate romance in her life, but with her body it was not possible. Fuuko threatens the man with a knife to not mess with her. She also explains to him that if he tried touching her body, he'd end up dying. As she's speaking, the man walks himself into her knife and ends up getting stabbed in the chest, much to Fuuko's shock. The man grabs Fuuko by her cheeks and moves her away from the edge of the bridge, telling her that he doesn't believe whatever she's saying. However, Fuuko could feel her unluck coming, and suddenly the man fell off the bridge and was run over by a train. Fuuko feels guilty because the man's head comes right back up and he repairs his body right in front of her. Fuuko gets extremely scared and tries to escape, but the man restricts her, telling her that he's undead, a person who cannot be killed no matter what. Before he could ask Fuuko some questions, the police arrive and he had to escape with her, jumping from building to building. As they reach a rooftop of a building, Fuuko attempts to escape again, but the undead gets a hold of her and threatens to throw her down from the building if she does not answer his question about her unluck. Fuuko told her that she was planning to die anyway, so his threats didn't scare her at all. However, the undead scared her good before she could spill the beans on her ability. She told him that when she was 8, her parents were leaving for overseas and hugged and kissed her a lot before leaving. But as their plane was about to take off, it exploded, and they died. It was then that she learned about her ability that ended up killing everyone who touched her. The undead then grabs her melons before she can finish talking. Suddenly, a crate full of bananas falls on the undead, crushing him. Fuuko attempted to run away but slipped from the banana peel and was falling down the building when the undead saved her. He is excited because he believes Fuuko will be able to end his life finally, and heads towards his hideout. There, Fuuko attempts to escape as well, but ends up revealing her extremely long hair to the undead. She tells him that nobody has been able to cut her hair because of her cursed ability. However, the undead cut it, hoping to get hit by a bigger disaster. Suddenly, a mysterious man cuts his head and puts it in a container. He arrests Fuuko as well. The person holding the container suddenly gets struck by the lightning thanks to Fuuko's unluck that worked on the undead. The undead is able to revive himself and takes out the mysterious man's minions, but the man held Fuuko as a hostage and told the undead to hand his head to him without regenerating. The undead has no other option but to cut his head as he throws it off in the man's direction. Fuuko rushes towards his head and kisses his cheeks. The man then holds the undead's head and gets hit by a meteor thanks to Fuuko's ability. The undead then reunites with Fuuko outside. Since the undead doesn't have a name, Fuuko names him Andy. Without wasting any time, Andy proposes that they should get more intimate in order for Fuuko's unluck to hit him hard, and Fuuko runs away after hearing it. Andy manages to corner Fuuko again, and she starts thinking of ways to get out of that situation. She then tells Andy that the more she likes somebody, the bigger the unluck becomes. So, in order for Andy to get hit by a bigger unluck, Fuuko must like him first. Andy realizes that he must not let her die before she starts liking him. He takes Fuuko to an armory where he gives her heavy armor that will protect her from the negators. The two of them get on a motorcycle and leave. As they're on their way, they get ambushed by a member of the Union named Void, who smashes their bike. Another member named Shen restricts Fuuko using his powers. Andy is also unable to move in front of Void, and he keeps attacking Andy. When Fuuko told Andy that Shen was the one restricting him, he told her that both Shen and Void share the same kind of powers, but he doesn't know what they're negating to make their powers work. Andy is able to land a blow on Void, but he soon overpowers Andy and blows his head off. In the meantime, Shen explains to Fuuko that there are 10 negators in the Union that the Union stopped chasing because they were supposed to carry out their mission. Fuuko was expected at the fact that the Union might stop chasing them if they join in. However, Void tells her that all the seats are full, so there's no use. Andy likes the idea of joining the Union and tells Fuuko to not worry about anything. This made her blush, and she touched Andy's chest before running away. Suddenly, a truck falls on Andy, Void, and Shen, but they survive. The three of them then go into a building where Andy hides from the two. He then notices dynamites all over the place that destroy the building. Void is unscathed, but Andy is able to figure out his ability and kills him using his finger bullets. After that, Shen appears and they both start sparring. Fuuko arrives at the scene with Andy's katana and hands it over to him, but before he could attack Shen, he's stopped by Shen, who told him that he just hesitated killing him. When both Fuuko and Andy are unable to fight against Shen, Andy decides that Fuuko should be a part of the Union since Void's seat was empty now, but Fuuko wanted to give Andy something in return. The intimacy he wanted to be free of his immortality. Seeing this, Shen told the two that he will allow them to kill another member of the Union to secure another seat for Andy. He guides them about the location of another member that they could kill, but for that, they'll have to go to Russia. Andy and Fuuko get on a yacht and head towards their destination. A member of the Union named Jenna had been keeping an eye on them. Fuuko is extremely scared because they might get attacked again. Suddenly, a jet starts attacking them, but Andy takes it down using his parts bullet fist. Andy tells Fuuko that they might be facing Jenna, who creates invisible barriers and gives them a tough time, since she was able to lock up Andy's head inside an invisible barrier 50 years ago. Jenna then shoots Andy's yacht with a missile from the satellite and it sinks, but both Andy and Jenna are able to survive. Another jet comes to arrest them, but Andy reveals that he had touched Fuuko to give her CPR, and that made the two of them propel into the air, landing right on top of the jet. Andy kills the pilot and takes control of the jet. As they get close to their destination, the jet self-destructs, but they're able to eject safely, landing near the Baikal Lake. Andy tells Fuuko to do some sightseeing while he looks for his old war buddies. As he leaves, Fuuko comes across Jenna, who was painting at the lake. When Jenna learned about Fuuko's interest in painting, she gave her a canvas to paint as well. Fuuko is done completing her painting by night. Jenna is impressed to see her painting and decides to finally reveal her real identity to Fuuko. She starts walking on the lake and makes the lake float in the air. Suddenly, Andy comes back and attempts to attack Jenna, but she's protected by a barrier around her. She tells Andy that her boss had briefed her about Andy wanting to kill her to secure her seat at the Union and gets ready to fight him. Fuuko is confused because Jenna looks like the same age as her, but she had captured Andy 50 years ago, which means she should be 66 now. As Andy is about to spill the beans about the Union's anti-aging technology, Jenna keeps her mouth shut, using her ability. Jenna then revealed to Fuuko that she fell in love with Andy 50 years ago when she captured him. Andy was able to escape 10 years after getting captured, and for the next 40 years, Jenna kept looking for him everywhere. As she's talking, Andy throws a flashbang towards her and attempts to cut through her barrier, but that doesn't work. While fighting, Andy tries to figure out how Jenna's ability works. Jenna restricts the lower half of Andy's body, but before she could cut off his head, Andy puts a grenade in his mouth and cuts off his head, making it fly up in the air. He regenerates his body, but it explodes due to the grenade. He uses his blood to reveal Jenna's invisible hands in the air that she has been using to restrict and attack Andy. He was finally able to figure out Jenna's abilities. Andy tells Fuuko to cover as much surface area of his body with hers as much as she can. Jenna doesn't like the fact that Fuuko's body is touching Andy's and attacks the two of them with more power, but Andy keeps himself in the air with Fuuko. Suddenly, he feels something up in the air that makes him land in the water. It was a UFO that was hiding up there. Jenna then attacks the two of them, but Andy can't keep them safe. Soon enough, he's able to figure out a weakness in Jenna's barrier. He told Fuuko that there was a hole in the barrier down beneath Jenna's feet. Andy realized that if he could slip through the hole somehow, he would be able to beat her with the unluck he had been charging this whole time, and then covers Jenna's barrier with blood and slips his katana in through the hole, creating an even bigger hole. Fuuko then throws Andy's head inside the barrier. As Jenna holds Andy's head, Fuuko's unluck works on him, and the UFO shoots a light beam toward them. Jenna's ability gets undone, and Andy decides not to kill her, as she was close to dying anyway. Before she dies, Andy hugs and kisses her, making her last wish come true. After that, Jenna passes away. Fuuko feels devastated over Jenna's death. Andy told her that Jenna always had a death wish. She always told Andy that she didn't like killing people in order to live, and that she would be better off dead. Andy had told her that once he comes out of the prison, he would target her first. Though it was a joke, Jenna took it seriously. Fuuko asked Andy if they could change the Union so that others would not suffer like Jenna. Andy likes the idea and agrees. Suddenly, a creature appears out of nowhere and takes them to an underground area where other members of the Union were present. The members of the Union other than Andy and Fuuko included Dui's Shen, Billy, Phil, Tatiana, Ishin, Top, and Nico. Tatiana was angry at Andy as he killed Jenna and attacked him. Dewey's then took control of Andy and Tatiana's bodies, and when both of them apologized and gave up, Dewey's gave them the control of their bodies. After that, Dewey's calls forward Apocalypse, a book that grants quests to the members of the Union. Apocalypse informed the team about 6 tasks to do. The first task is catching Uma Burn, the second is getting Uma Eat, the third is stopping Uma Language, the fourth is catching Negator Unseen, the fifth is capturing Uma Past, and the last one is catching Uma Spoil. The members had until 31st August to complete the quests. If they failed to complete the quests, the penalty will be the addition of Uma Galaxy. According to Nico, the members could handle the first 3 quests for now. As Dewey's prepares to divide the quests among the group, Fuuko inquires about what exactly Apocalypse is. Top clarifies that it's the very first artifact discovered on Earth. When negators occupy all the seats at the round table, it opens up and assigns them challenging tasks. If they successfully complete these tasks, they receive a reward, but failing results in penalties. Fuuko then addresses the group and questions whether they should follow Apocalypse's instructions. She mentions that even Gina was reluctant to comply, and one of the quests involves capturing a negator, someone similar to them. Therese goes on to explain that Earth has had 98 different rules imposed on it over time. These rules cover various aspects like sex, language, race, death, and sickness. Every 3 months, new penalties are introduced without the Union's involvement, which is why the Union steps in. They need to be strong to clear the quests, and that's why they capture and utilize those with power. They need strength in order to challenge the creator of the Earth one day. Andy then gets on the table, grabs the Apocalypse, and asks him about the toughest quests. It was the one that involved the capture of Uma Spoil. Andy then decides to take it on along with Fuuko and Shen. Apocalypse accepts this request and the quest starts. Later, Shen's subordinate, Mui, dresses up Fuuko and wishes her all the best for the quest. As they come out of the room, Andy accidentally bumps into Fuuko, and the unluck hits him, melting him in his suit with the fire emblems erupting from the walls. Shen then explained the importance of the Union's suits and emblems to Andy. Suddenly, there's an announcement about Uma 1129 taking over a member of personnel and escaping. Mui told the group that it was the garments Uma clothes. He latches onto a person's body and transforms into the garments that the person most desires. He then takes control of that person and runs wild. Suddenly, clothes appear, and Andy attacks the body of his host. He then took control of Mui's body. As Mui attacks Shen and Andy, Fuuko touches her arm. That made a brick fall on top of Mui's head, and she faints. Clothes then attempted to take control of Fuuko's body, but Andy came in the way, making him latch onto the body. However, he was not able to transform into any clothes because Andy had desired extremely complicated clothes. At that point, the unluck from Fuuko in the form of a lightning strike strikes Andy. Nico apologizes and mentions that it was an artifact malfunction. As Andy's clothes regenerate over him, he grumbles that it took 15 seconds, wishing he could be faster. Fuuko then warmly welcomes Clothes and decides to call him Clothy. Andy gets promoted to the 9th seat for their successful Uma intervention. The Union receives a report about a decaying corpse wandering the streets of New York, which they suspect is linked to Uma Spoil. What do you think of the story? Let's talk about it in the comments section below. As always, a like, subscribe, and comment will be much appreciated. Well then, with that said, we'll see you guys in our next recap, and make sure you give us a heads up if you want us to do a part 2.